Oh, hi everyone. It's Andrew McCusker, the head of the Education Finance Program, filming from Lusaka in Zambia, where we've been doing a little bit of a roadshow with financial institutions over the last few weeks. It's a pity that we can't be there in person with you in the US this year. And so, as many of you will be aware, in March and April this year, schools around the world were closed. At worst case, in May, about 90% of schools around the world were shut temporarily as a result of COVID restrictions. This put heaps of pressure on our financial institution partners, on the school leaders themselves, on the teachers, parents, and ultimately on the students in the schools. The good news is that over the last few months, in most of our key markets, we've started to see schools begin to at least partially reopen, in some cases fully. And when not fully, there are plans to reopen in all of our markets or in most of our markets over the next few months, which is really encouraging for us. I think one of the things that has surprised me, certainly over the last few weeks as we've been talking to potential new financial institutions here in Zambia, is that there still is loads of demand for school lending as conditions begin to normalise. The great thing about Zambia over the last couple of weeks that we've learned is that there's still plenty of demand, and it's largely been driven by demographic things that, in addition or outside of COVID, in that financial institutions are looking through the short-term impact of schools closures. I think one of the great things that we've seen is financial institutions beginning to offer working capital loan facilities to the schools to support them in retaining their teacher workforce and preparing for schools to reopen as they do over the next few months. Looking ahead into next year, we still have a pretty strong pipeline of new financial institution partners to work with in new countries. So I'd like to thank you all for your support and continued interest in our program. I'm certainly really excited about coming out of COVID, as a tool would say, stronger on the other side. We're really well positioned, and it's with the support of all of you that we're very grateful. And so I think Renee is going to talk a little bit about the Education Quality Program and some of the ways in which the schools have been responding. So I'll leave it to Renee. Speak soon. Bye.
Hello, my name is Renee McAlpin. I'm the Global Education Quality Manager for Opportunity Edu Finance. The work that we do and my team of 33 people across 8 countries work directly with school leaders and teachers to help them improve the quality of their institutions. Because our program was primarily in person, we had to make massive changes in March when over 90% of the world's schools closed suddenly overnight with very little warning. So our completely in-person program had to move digital. What we did is we used existing infrastructure, so Facebook, WhatsApp, phone calls, SMS, things that school leaders and teachers were already familiar with. They were under an enormous amount of personal and professional pressure, and we felt meeting them at where they're at was the best way to go. We reevaluated our strategy every 4 to 6 weeks. And what we focused on was, supporting school leaders keep their businesses running. So thinking about their cash burn rate and cash runway, how their resources will last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months if this goes that long, which we're seeing in many places it might. How do they, engage with teachers with whom they might not be able to pay, and how do they keep those teachers occupied and willing to come back when schools reopen? How do they engage with their client, their customer, the parents and the students that they serve? How do they keep them engaged during this time, and how do they mitigate learning loss as much as possible? And so we developed new content on a week by week basis, covering these key areas, and delivering directly to school leaders and teachers through the multiple channels I mentioned. So Facebook, WhatsApp, phone calls, SMS, by our team of skilled and dedicated education specialists who are now all working at home when they used to spend 80% of their time in the field traveling to schools. So not only was it a new way of operating for all of our clients, but a new way of operating for ourselves. And what are we thinking about going forward? Well, we know the recovery is going to take a very long time. It could take years to mitigate the learning loss, to mobilize kids back into school, to make up for everything that's been lost. The education sector, I think, only next to tourism and hospitality has been hit greater than any other sector. Some studies show that children have been set back several years. So when they do return to school, teachers and school leaders need to know how to support them effectively, because not only will their learning and academics have been impacted, but also the psychosocial impact of being separated from those environments for so long. So that's a big focus for us going forward as schools begin to reopen, and helping schools stay sustainable. We've already seen some really great examples of, school leaders thinking outside the box and creating new businesses, using their schools as venues, socially safe venues. So renting their premises, feeding their communities, making and selling hand sanitizer, opening up mobile money branches, all sorts of really, really, really creative things. We're very committed at Opportunity to that recovery, and we know it's going to take a long time. It is indeed a marathon, not a sprint, and we're really thankful for your support, particularly because we couldn't do this without you, and we'll need you there with us through the long haul. So thank you very much. Here in sunny Kampala, Uganda, I hope to be able to see you all soon in person.